I'm Matt Evenson, and I'm joining Chris for his horror movie month, Watch It in the Dark. This is part 4 of the video edition. I'm going to be doing House of a Thousand Corpses from 2003. It's written and directed by Rob Zombie, and the soundtrack is also by Rob Zombie and Scott Humphrey. You can watch it for free on Netflix or video on demand as well. The premise of House of a Thousand Corpses is two young couples traveling across the backwoods of Texas, searching for urban legends and roadside attractions. They stop at Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen, and they end up going on a hunt to find Dr. Satan. They end up as prisoners in a bizarre, sadistic backwater family of serial killers and fight for their lives to survive. House of a Thousand Corpses is the first film in Rob Zombie's Firefly film series. It's also Zombie's directorial debut. Corpses was doomed to fail from the beginning. Universal shelved it after they figured it would get an NC-17 rating. Zombie reacquired the rights to House of a Thousand Corpses and eventually sold it to Lionsgate, who released the film in April 2003. Despite receiving bad reviews from critics, it went on to gross $16 million worldwide, more than doubling its budget. Since its release, the film has achieved a cult following, was developed into a haunted house attraction by Zombie for Universal Studios, and it was followed by 2 sequels, The Devil's Rejects from 2005 and 3 from Hell from 2019. The film stars B-movie actors like Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, Karen Black, and Harrison Young. It also has many actors at the beginning of their career like Rainn Wilson, Sherry Moon Zombie, Chris Hardwick, and Aaron Daniels. One of my favorite reviews is a quote from Metacritic saying, "If your expectations aren't too high, there's a lot of cool shit on screen." Not only that, but in true Zombie fashion, his love for classic horror and cinema rings through in every scene. Inspired by 1970s horror films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 and The Hills Have Eyes in 1977, Zombie conceived the film while he was designing a haunted house attraction for Universal Studios Hollywood. I always love looking up film locations and movie trivia. The Firefly's home is from the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas in 1982. Denise Willis's dad's home is actually the Cleavers' home from Leave It to Beaver. And in the trick-or-treating scene, you can see the Munsters' home off in the background. Captain Spaulding's gas station and sideshow is the Four Aces Hotel out of Palmdale, California. You may not notice it because it's all redone up, but it's from the sequel, The Devil's Rejects, and it's also from the 2003 film Identity. Otherwise, when budget ran out and filming wrapped up, Zombie filmed almost all the gritty home movie scenes in his basement with the actors on a 16mm camera, and they were actually inspired by the Manson family's home movies, supposedly. Also in the burial scene towards the end of the movie, where caskets are lowered into the ground with a tape recorder, the recording is a slowed down clip of Aleister Crowley repeating, "Bury me in a nameless grave." It was recorded in 1920. I haven't even broke the surface with House of a Thousand Corpses. The music is great. I bought the soundtrack immediately when it came out. I listened to it almost daily at that time. Probably another reason why I can quote the movie so well. There's a lot of little quotes throughout the whole soundtrack, like, "Holy Miss Molly, caught me alive" one. I love every part of it. I do think that House of a Thousand Corpses kicked off a lot of the torture porn films of the early 2000s, but I never complained about Zombie's torture and the stylized gore, because it is just stylized zombie style. You know it from his music videos from back in the day, Living Dead Girl Dragula. It has that old horror movie feel, but also the fact that he had the money to make a movie out of it and be gory and great. It's very stylized, very Rob Zombie. I will say my favorite scene is when the cops arrive at the Firefly's home to find the missing teens. Buck Owens' "I Remember You" plays with a bunch of mutilated cheerleaders in a barn. I never thought I'd say that line out loud. It's shot all in slow motion with a final 26 seconds of total uncomfortable silence, and then a gun goes off. And it's just a really iconic scene. Every time I hear that Buck Owens song, it just brings me right to that movie. It's really cool. House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects were definitely great openers to Zombie's rather disappointing film career. I always make a point to go see his films when they come out, even though I'm let down almost every single time. Lords of Salem being an exception. That one grew on me. I do have a kind of soft spot for witch movies and everything, so that one's pretty cool. But otherwise, yeah, I could keep rambling, but I gotta stop now. So that would be my review for House of a Thousand Corpses 2003. Don't forget, watch it in the dark.